Mike, I was just curious if you, the coverage for the women's game and the final game, I was pleasantly surprised to hear Canada speak about their experience in this way, that the joy in the game, the buy-in to the roles, and the ability to be creative was not really what I had seen from Canada all year. And the way that I had researched Joel Johnson is that that's the way he coached, and that he was almost like a Ted Lasso type coach that the players really loved. And then in the final game, I felt like there was a reversal of roles where he like cut down to 2 lines, and it just seemed like both coaches did the opposite of what I thought they were going to do in that experience. So I was just curious what you thought on that, and if I even read that right from a color commentating perspective.
Yeah, I was shocked that when you get like you play that role all the way through, and you build that foundation, and then you fall back to nature, like your human nature, saying, I just got to put my 6 best players on the ice for as long and thinking I'm going to get back to a place where we can play deep again. Right. And it was a weird, it's just, it's because I think that's the pressure, and that's the trust, and that's the ability to say, because imagine those players on the bench that were trusted all the way through, right to the last minute, and now you're not trusted anymore. And whether that's right, I don't know, maybe if they would have got a goal or two and turned it around, and we're talking how great strategy it was to shorten the bench and play your best players. But I think overall, and this is where I think our world is, I mean, this is not just hockey, but that the ability to trust the process and not to worry about the first 5 minutes, not to worry about the first period, not to worry about the second period. That and if you fail, you failed by sticking to the process you laid out to begin with. And I think that's where I think the U.S. went wrong in the women's game. And I actually listened to Poulin last night speak. I think she was on an interview. I must have been watching, I don't know what program I was watching, but you could hear that the Canadians, the joy in playing was evident. I mean, it's just no doubt about it in the way they speak about their teammates and practicing and preparation, that there was so much joy. And I think people that don't understand that piece of it, especially where I'm in an area where it's like, steel sharpens steel. The best have to play the best. The worst kids can get culled out. I mean, I'm in a world right now where, you have a brick tryouts for 2015s next weekend, 2015 year burst, brick tryouts. So I'm like, well, what's the tryout? Can they carry their bag into the rink? Do they make the team? I don't know. So, but there's the pressure is so great that it's hard where I am for people to kind of see that. And so I thought that was a really interesting, pickup by everybody, is say, well, why you got all the way here, and then you just said, then you just showed by your actions you didn't trust your team. And I think it probably showed. I mean, if you really had the opportunity to zoom in on those faces during shifts, you'd probably see it on the faces of those women for sure.
Mike, we'll get back to this after we hear Barry, but I really note the difference in the smiles on the Canadian players, the girls in particular, but I relate that to the smiles on the faces of the Montreal Canadiens, the emotional energy. So when we get back to that, Mike, I'm looking at the Calgary Flames, a similar success story with no smiles. It's all business.